assets to use. So like down here, you have a bunch of different options to put in, like this right here, this. You can put a palm tree in here. Or this. Lights and camera. That's fine. Okay, so there are three types of lights you have. You got the point light, the spotlights, and the directional light. And the point lights are like, a regular light. You shine it and it just there. And spotlights are like headlights. They start from like a certain position and then they go from like here. And directional lights are like a sun, like they'll cast shadows, depending on what position it's in. And if I were to remove this, for example, see, all of a sudden it changed. You can always switch it back with Control Z.
I also told him some programming best friends. Control Z, Task Manager, and Alt F4.
All that good stuff. All that. Scripting.
Yeah.
I'll just show you one script. So for this, we'll just go to player movement, why not? And basically what player movement does is once it shows
So in this part of the presentation, this shows why he needs a better laptop.
yeah, this right here. Oh, okay, finished.
There we go.
So this is all the language. This is all
How many
the
lines of code is that?
Like over like
100 or for
like 150. Yeah.
And this is all just to get the characters moving. And there's more scripts than just that. As you can see, you got a title screen script, an NPC script, a countdown script, a wall script, a health bar script, game manager, projectile, audio manager, and hitbox, but there's more scripts than just that. And scripts,
Yep.
yeah, and scripts think of the game objects in the world as like the actors, and the scripts, this is basically what they gotta do. This is what they have to read. They have to read all of that and basically, got it. I'm gonna do what's right here. Collisions. Well, collisions in a game like this, they work like any other collision. Like once two things collide with each other, they go like that. Or if I were to drop a marker on the ground or on this table, let's prefabs. Now, prefabs are basically, go back to here. Prefabs are basically stuff you can store and use at a later date. So, let's say I wanted to add, let's say I put something here and I thought to myself, how would I save this for a different time? Well, all I gotta do is just drag it into the prefab and I can use it for any other thing. And it's kind of like, okay, and you can use multiple. So if I were to add this, I can also add another version of it just by simply dragging that and just keep adding on and keep adding on to it. Okay. So what we have here is basically the user interface and how the player interacts with the game per se. So you got the health bar, obviously, the player names, you got the timer, and you got the reset button, which basically makes, basically, like I said, you interact with the game through this. Particle systems are basically what makes the projectiles look like that, for example. So let's say I wanted to add like a smoke texture or an electric texture to a block I'm trying to shoot out. Well, with particle systems, that's how that's able to be possible. So, and you can adjust any particle system with the way you want to, really. It's all free game right there. And like I said, if without all of the particle systems that's making this look like it looks, it would just look, well, bland. It would just look like a regular ball. Like I said, no one wants to see that. Animations.
Yeah, so there you go. Animator. Yep.
There we go. So basically, this is the animation that makes our character move like it should. Think of this as a big spider. Think of it as a big spider web connecting things together. And if you were to break at least, if you broke at least one line, then it would not function properly. And you got the booleans that make that possible. So like, for example, if I were to go on one of these lines, it would say false, 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 and false, true, false, true. So if you were to go to right here, basically with these true and false sequences, it's basically making it function like we want it to function. So it's not like just messy, basically. So this is where this comes in. Same with the attacks and the projectiles. You want to have this true and false system right here, just to kind of make it make sense in a way. Make sure it's functional.
Yeah. So one thing I do want to add is like, so those are called a truth table, and basically that's how the computer can keep track of what animation to transition from. Axis means it doesn't matter if it's if it's true or false.
It'll still work out.
Yeah.
Timelines. So timelines right here. It's basically how the game is able to function. So if I were to drag it down here.
Do yourself a favor
See
and
how we're
go.
rolling like that? That's because of the timeline. And timeline is basically for like sequencing purposes, obviously. So if you want a character to do this before the game starts, you can do that with the timeline. So any audio you want, any animations you want, any like text dialogue, for example, you can do all that in the timeline manager. Audio. Okay. So with audio, I should say, basically audio is, well, what's the best way I can explain this? Okay. 3D audio versus 2D audio. So 2D audio, for example, is basically like no matter where you are, that audio will play regardless of whether you're over there or over there. Now, 3D audio is basically, let's say I had music coming out of here. Like the more you take it away from that person, the less they'll hear it. And the more you bring it to them, the more they'll hear it. So it's kind of like distancing, basically. Alright.
Okay.
Call that the way, let's actually get to the meat and potatoes of it, I should say. Jesse, would you like
Yeah.
to-
Yep. Well, actually, I'll have you play around with it first, just so I can like record it.
Okay, that's fine.
Do yourself a favor.
So, as you can see,
Yeah. It's,
Do yourself a favor and go.
now we'll
Leave this planet and go. Do yourself a favor and go. Leave this planet
So
and go.
that's the reset button. So like, if one of the players gets defeated, you can just click this reset button.
and yeah, that's it.